Hey, welcome to Crypto BS. I'm Al,
And I'm Craig.
and I would like to welcome our listeners back. Craig, how was your vacation?
Vacation was great.
Well, I'm glad that you made it back. I had to go solo there before the 4th. I was hoping to get back to do another update on the 4th. I just couldn't get there. There's too many fireworks going on. But we do have some updates for where we're at on our challenge, and we'll get to that shortly. But I'd like to do a little bit of update on the news that's going around. I guess the first thing, the big news now is Vauld they're done. So that was the next domino to fall in the platform saga that we're all experiencing right now.
Now, let me ask you real quick. Have you ever used that platform?
No, it's Singapore based. I don't want any part of it, but they've suspended their withdrawals, their trading, and their deposits. But they're falling right in the same category as some of these other ones. Last month, they laid off about 30% of their employees. So that was their red flags going up for us. Just like Celsius they fired 150 of their employees, and those other ones are doing the same thing. When I'm looking at what makes me feel comfortable about the platforms I'm using, the limitations of withdrawals, that makes me feel uncomfortable. If they're still hiring, if they're still putting forth their normal rewards, that makes me feel a little bit better. But obviously, I have zero trust and faith in all platforms at this point. How do you feel about it, Craig?
Yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking very good at all. The one that concerns me the most is crypto.com, with them limiting withdrawals. They have their daily and monthly limits. And quite frankly, that's where I have a lot of my crypto at. So not looking good for us Crow holders right now.
Well, I primarily use KuCoin for my trading. It makes me feel comfortable. They're still hiring. They're still trying to soak up some of these guys that are currently writing script and that type of thing on these other platforms. So they're still looking to expand in a sense. Coinbase has got a big push into Europe. Right now they're trying to break into that market. That makes me feel a little bit better about them. But just in general, I don't feel real comfortable about the use of any platform right now. But Craig, what about you? Are you going to leave your majority of your stuff on the platforms? Or are you just going to use it mainly for trading? Are you going to keep doing the earn deal? What is your plan going forward?
Yeah, I don't think I'm leaving crypto.com quite yet. I still believe in the few major players, that being Coinbase, KuCoin, crypto.com. I used to use Binance, haven't used them in a while, but I don't foresee those people having too many major issues. Yeah, they're starting to limit withdrawals, and that's a red flag, but I don't know where else I'd put my crypto at. I'm not really looking at any other wallet, especially not Celsius.
Yeah, I mean, there's still, you've got your soft wallets and your hard wallets that you could use. I don't know.
I would consider a hard wallet right now. I don't have one yet, and I've been looking at it, but
I've been looking at it for years.
Now's a good time to really start considering with the exchanges doing what they're doing. Being on a hard wallet wouldn't be such a bad thing, but then there's all the extra hassle that goes in with that versus just
it makes it a lot harder
exchange.
to trade. That's why people don't like using the hard wallets.
But for someone like me that does buy and hold and plays a much longer game on some of my tradings, I could move my assets that I'm holding over there.
Okay. Well, the next thing on the agenda as far as news goes is Voyager went ahead and filed for bankruptcy. It doesn't look like Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX is going to necessarily come to their rescue just yet. Some more news on the way that the Metropolitan Bank structured the FDIC protections for Voyager has come out, and what it's looking like is that the way that it is structured, there's no pass-through policy, so that the users are going to be protected. So if you've got anything that was in a stable coin, it's not safe. I talked a little bit about that the other day, that the FDIC insurance, it's not for you. It's not even for Voyager, if Voyager makes a mistake or Voyager goes down, it's really to protect your money that's at Metropolitan Bank. So if Metropolitan has a problem and they go under, well, then you're good to go. But in general, it's like any other insurance type stuff. It's mostly a scam. So the only one that I can think of right off the top of my head that does have that pass through is Coinbase, so that you would be protected there. But other than that, I don't know. It's not looking good. I guess that's really the big news for within the market. I don't know. Coinloan, I guess that's the last one. Coinloan is limiting withdrawals. So if you got anything on Coinloan, you might as well start pulling it out because it looks like they're going to be the next one. All of this is just a cascading effect from each one, because if these start getting liquidated and those assets have to get sold off, that's going to get into the market and that's going to drive the market down. That's where all of those sales are, because right now, pretty much if you were going to sell, you've already sold. And if these assets, they were never intended to be sold because it was through the holders, but through the platforms, they get liquidated, that's all going to hit the market. And man, it's going to flood it with sales. And it's going to really push everything down. So for me, I'm still looking for a pullback, especially as some of these other programs or the platforms become insolvent. Celsius has started selling off some of their assets to try to thwart bankruptcy, but I don't know if they're going to make it or not. For a while, it looked like Celsius was by far going to be the one that is going to get punched in the face, and Voyager was going to be the one that survives. But man, it's topsy-turvy this week, Craig.
Indeed so.
Well, shall we do a little update on the challenge?
We have to. It is week 2.
It is week 2. This is 1 week into it. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, Craig and I have a challenge in which we allocate $100 a week into our trading account with the intent of growing it to 100K. This is a realistic amount of money for those of you listeners who are following along that want to compete. You could do the same thing. It's not some of the other podcasters out there, they like to use big amounts of money, things that are, well, what would you do if you had $20,000 laying around or $50,000? It's a little bit out of a lot of people's range, but $100, it's something to start from. But the intent is for us to show you that you don't have to have a big amount of money to start with to grow it. So that's what we're doing. We're adding $100 a week to our trading account. Once the money's in the account, there are no rules. We can long it, short it, farm it, stake it, leverage it, or hold it on the sidelines. Craig is usually the conservative one, and I'm usually the risk taker. Our strategies may be similar, but our approach is different most of the time. And our show centers on the different approaches to the challenge. We discuss the market news and relevant news, as you've already witnessed here, and then give our general analysis. So going forward, we're going to update it. Hit me. Where you at, Craig? How's your Bitcoin long doing?
Well, I feel somewhat right in a sense where I said Bitcoin doesn't like to be under 20,000 right now. Now, long term, that can change. More bad market news can drive it lower and lower. But I saw my opportunity in the mid to high 18,000 range. Put my first $100 in, and now we're back over 20. So I'm up 6-ish% on that right now, and I'm feeling happy.
Okay. That sounds good. I gave my update on the show on Sunday. So I've since made a couple more trades. On the 3rd, I did put in another short. I got stopped out. So the market looked like it was on a little bit of a run. I went in for a long. I took profits. I went in at about 35.70 and took some profits at 35.60 there.
And that's on Solana, right?
And that's on Solana, yep. I took another short as I was watching it kind of bounce through there. It's kind of working its way back down through that channel. So I put another one in at about 35.75 and took profits at $34.70. So I went up another $29. That puts me at a total of $82 in profit.
Dang, that's good. That's week one, 80%.
Yeah,
up. That's
good. So
that's a big swing and a big hit.
Yeah, Solana was working for me. More or less, it was just kind of staying in a channel there. So as it was working its way through, I was looking for those double tops and looking for that opportunity to slide in and try to catch it. I missed once. It didn't cost me too bad because I did go ahead and sucked it up, took my punch in the face with it, and then went back in for a long. I basically flipped it right then, rode it the rest of the way up, and hit pretty close. I didn't catch the tops or the bottoms there, but it was pretty close. So, all right. So let's talk about what we're going to do this week. So now I've got $282 to play with, and you're going to leave yours still in Bitcoin, is what I'm guessing. You're just going to let it sit. Is that what you're planning?
Well, I told you I had a curveball this week, and while technically you are correct, yes, I will be leaving my money in Bitcoin. I will continue to find what I consider to be a decent price point for entry. But then from there, I'm going to take the $106-ish of Bitcoin I have now, plus my new $100 allocation, and throw it into a bot. This is going to be on KuCoin. KuCoin is my trading platform for this right now. I am eyeing their Infinity Grid bot. It's supposed to be more of a bullish bot, which is counter to how we feel about the market, but I don't want a grid that limits my upside, which the Infinity Grid does not. And the grid will continue to buy in because, the entry is 50-50. It'll be half Bitcoin, half USDT. And if the price goes down in the grid, it will enter my way in and dollar cost average for me at grid levels that I preset. And so it's basically just doing my trading for me while I get to sit back and watch fireworks.
I didn't see that coming, Craig. I got to tell you.
Do you approve or disapprove?
I disapprove.
Ouch.
Look, we've played with the bots before, and what we found while we were playing with the bots is that as long as it's in a channel, it's good, which is with Solana, that would have worked perfectly if I would have had a bot set up over the last week. But, I would rather just nervousness of how much up and down the market can swing, especially if some of these platforms do get liquidated. We're looking at a big push in one direction. I'd rather have the ability to get out and then find a better entry for the next move than to let that bot skim minuscule percents over time.
Well, let's talk about some scenarios then. Yeah.
Let's go.
Recent scenario, we have Bitcoin moving in between the 18s and 21s, correct?
Yes.
And it's up and down. If you buy in the 18s, as I did last week, and you hold, you'll make just whatever profit you happen to pull out of in that range, short term, that is. With a bot, I can make more than that and trade up and down throughout that channel. And then I can pull everything out of the bot and buy in at a low point again as well if I want to. If the price does push up, the Infinity Grid will push up with it. Now, I won't make as much as I did if I just held it, but we're not exactly bullish on market sentiment either. So whatever push up happens would be short-lived. And then you're kind of asking me to time the market on finding the right point to sell off my holdings and buy back in, which requires a lot more attention than I'm willing to give it right now. On the downside of it going downwards, if I buy now, like I did last week, I'm going to end up losing more than if I just put it into the grid and let it dollar cost average for me at my preset grids. So there are scenarios where I do worse, there are scenarios where I do better, and there are scenarios that are optimal where it stays in this channel like it is right now, waiting for more news. And that's the scenario I'm betting on.
I'm betting it doesn't stay in the channel.
For how long?
I don't know. But I think that as these come in, I think it's going to hurt when these platforms get liquidated and all of that crypto hits the market. It's going to be a lot. I mean, we could see a great flash crash. I've already put in orders, not in the game, but my orders are low. I've got scammy wick low orders, and if I can catch Bitcoin at 14,000, 12,000, 8,000. I've got orders in for that. Let's go. I'd rather catch it down there than to trust a bot to do those little micro set buys and sells all the way down. How far down will it go until you are priced out?
It depends on how you set it up. I mean, you set the percentage that each grid hits.
So what are you thinking? Are you thinking 1/8%? 1/4%?
I want to go back to the charts before I say anything definitive, but I think I want nice round numbers, and I'm thinking every either 0.5% or 1% to be my grid. So at its current price around 20,000, each 1% would then be $200. So that would mean every $100 to $200 move would be a grid in which this thing sells or buys a certain amount of Bitcoin.
Are you planning on this for a long-term part of this game, or are you doing this more or less plan over the next couple of weeks or months, or are you thinking you're just going to let it run indefinitely?
This is in lieu of just buying and holding the Bitcoin. I mean, I do want to take the conservative approach of buy, hold, and try to just find what is perceived to be the correct time to enter and exit to make money. Staking was an option versus the bot. I considered that, but there's not great interest rates on Bitcoin, and I don't want to get into something more volatile to get better interest rates. And margin trading is just a little too risky for me right now because I have no idea what the market's going to do, and I'm not betting for it or against it because it's still betting. So I thought the bot was a more optimal solution than buy and hold while still being more or less conservative. What are you thinking about for this week?
I'm liking Solana still. I think literally right now we could be seeing a pullback in the short term. It is currently at $35.77. I'm thinking a short right in this area would work. If it comes back up and hits, I don't know, 36.05 or 36.10, probably gonna have an exit right there. But I could see it going on down and hitting that 34.65 range. So that's what I'm looking at real quick. The other ones that I've got, I like sand right now, and putting in a short at 129. Looks like the next level for me on where I would go in. GARI was out there. Though GARI, I don't know, my Indian is not super fantastic. It looks pretty wild. I could take a swing at that.
Please don't.
I could do it. I could go. If it goes back down, why not? If it goes down to 3 cents, why not swing at it? It's Indian TikTok.
Is that what that is?
That's exactly what it is.
I haven't even looked at it. I just saw the wild swings and crossed it off my list.
Hey, look, we're in this for the swings.
What was it before it went down to 2 cents?
It was in the mid 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, 85 cents.
85 cents down to 2 cents.
That's probably a rug pull, but
that seems like something I don't want to be a part of.
Listen, just imagine that percentage gains. It goes down to 2 cents. You throw in $20, $50. You're already up a little bit. Heck, you threw in your $6 and hit a good swing on it. It runs up 14 cents or 18 cents like it's at right now. Now you're well into the profit. Why not?
All right, so let me hit you with the would you rather for today.
For new listeners, Craig and I play a little game each week called Would You Rather, crypto style. So he's going to give me a scenario and I have to make the best worst choice. So fire away, Craig. What you got?
This is going to be tough. I want you to know this right now because I don't think you know much about either of these coins. But would you rather...
You'd be surprised. I know about every coin.
Would you rather buy and hold GARI or buy and hold BURGR? I just saw BURGR for the first time today. Never heard of it. It's probably been out there a lot longer than I know. But BURGR. It's got a catchy name. Better than GARI. But it seems like you know something about GARI. So which one? Which one would you rather buy and hold long term?
I'd rather not buy and hold any of them.
Oh, but if you have to, with your $50 looking for a swing, let's not even say buy and hold. Let's just say buy in order to sell at a later date. So you can't short it.
Okay.
You can't stake it.
Okay.
It's got to be a buy and then sell at higher price.
Okay. I would definitely go with GARI. And I would do that because it's new to the market. It's got some type of utility with it. That's how they're monetizing TikTok basically in India. But like I said, it's more or less it could be a rug pull. I don't know. It's only been out for a couple of weeks. But taking a swing on something early in the market versus BURGR that's been around for a while, let me go with GARI.
I don't want any part of GARI. I know nothing about GARI. I know nothing about BURGR. But I do know that GARI was 80 cents down to 2 and back up to 19 and falling. I'll buy BURGR. I'm just going to go BURGR. That's my answer. I think you're wrong. I think we're both wrong. I think we're both wrong for, in this hypothetical scenario, even purchasing a singular token of either of these.
Do you want to see which one goes up the most in a week? Which one looks better in a week than it does right now?
We should both buy one token.
I'm not going to buy one. $10 worth.
Of our $100 allocation.
Of our $100 allocation has to go to, you go to BURGR, I'll throw 10 on GARI, and we'll see.
And we're allowed to wait. We're allowed to wait for our buy point, right? Or do we have to buy in like right after this podcast?
Ooh, we could go either way. I mean, it's your choice. But
okay, at some time in the week, you have to buy $10 worth, not even within the week, because I know you'll play that and buy right before our next podcast and just say, look, it's still worth about $10. So by the end of this week, the end of the week being Friday night, by midnight, Friday night, Saturday morning,
you got to be in.
We got to be in with 10 USDT.
And we'll see where it's
at next week.
Right. Okay. Oh, which is another good point is we don't paper trade this. We're actually putting the real dollars in there too. So it's like I said, it's not a whole lot that's going in there, but it's enough that we don't want to lose. And as competitive as Craig and I are, we definitely want to win. So we're actually using real money for this. It's not paper trading. So Craig, I've got a would you rather.
Okay.
And it's a little bit different as well, because I know that you're a big REITs guy. You spend a little bit more time in the stock market over the past several years than so much in the crypto market, which is kind of where some of this stuff has come from. And I'm not the reverse, but I've been out of the stock market more so since I've been into crypto. I've moved a lot of my investments from the stock market to the crypto market. I like the volatility and the danger in it, more or less. Craig, would you rather put your $100 long term in a nice long, say, year, put it into a REIT, or would you rather put it into Bitcoin?
I'm going to say Bitcoin, and my reasoning is that REITs have not fallen that much over the last year or so. Even with all the news, yes, they've fallen, but proportionally to Bitcoin, they have not fallen near as far. And yeah, they pay dividends, but it's the major stock market, right? We're looking at the best 15% dividend yield on something like New York Mortgage Trust. On the less risky REITs like Realty Income Group or Digital Realty Trust or things of that nature, you're looking at 3, 4, 5% dividend yield. So it's not going to pay off in that regard. And I do think within the next year, 2, hopefully, we'll get some better market news, something optimistic, so that we're not stuck in this negative spiral forever. And when that news hits, I think proportionally Bitcoin will move higher up than the REITs did, because it pulled down further than the REITs did. And so if I'm putting money in now to hold for a year, I'm putting it into the one that's going to move more.
If the REITs pulled back more, would you go into REITs versus Bitcoin?
It depends on what type of REIT it is. If we're looking at like Boston Properties that does office spaces, no. I think after COVID, there's a lot more people working from home, and they're trying to be smarter about how many people they're bringing together. And something like that isn't going to do quite as well as something that like Digital Realty Trust would do, where they have data centers, or IIPR when they're doing marijuana grow houses, or something that has a better future outlook than everything that just happened with office spaces. And mortgages right now, I wouldn't go into New York Mortgage Trust or New Residential or Ladder. Those things, mortgage rates are through the roof right now, and they've went down pretty well. But I just, with inflation how it is and mortgage rates being what they're going to be, like, again, maybe they can turn around in a year, but if they pull back even more, I just think that's part of what's going on. I'd still rather be in Bitcoin.
Okay, last caveat from here. If pot was federally legalized, would you go IIPR or Bitcoin?
I'd go IIPR all day. I'm a fan.
I see. So even
and the reason I'm in IIPR now is because I think that'll happen eventually one day. So I'm buying in. I'm building my store of shares, hoping that the one day it finally goes federally decriminalized, at least, and then IIPR goes through the roof.
Well, this is a little bit different. Turn on the program than what we normally have. We usually stick mostly to crypto. We do fall into a little bit of the other news categories and a little bit of the stock news, because as I've said in the past, I think that those are correlated, especially in this bear market. So, man, I'm glad everybody tuned in and listened to us this week. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe, and we'll tune in again for an update later this week, maybe over the weekend. We'll see how everything looks. So thanks for listening to Crypto BS. I'm Al.
I'm Craig.